In real time, that's going to fundamentally change how the law works. And if you think this is just some sci-fi future problem, you're already behind. Deepfakes aren't coming. They're here. They're being used in crimes, and the legal system is having an absolute meltdown trying to figure out what to do about it. What actually just happened? In the last few days, there have been multiple cases hitting the news where deepfakes weren't used for jokes or memes or harmless fun. They were used for extortion. They were used for identity theft. They were used to ruin people's lives, and the law had absolutely no idea how to prosecute it. Think about this. A woman gets deepfake videos of herself created and posted online. Explicit videos. Videos of her doing things she never did. And when she tries to press charges, the law looks at her confused and essentially says, well, technically, you weren't actually in those videos, so legally speaking, we're not sure what crime this is. That's where we are right now. That's the actual state of the legal system. The technology moved faster than the law, and now we're all living in this weird gap where something that is clearly wrong, clearly harmful, and clearly needs to be illegal isn't actually illegal in most places. The specific case is making lawyers sweat. There have been recent cases where deepfakes were used to create fake videos of politicians saying things they never said, not for memes, for political manipulation, for changing actual votes. Create explicit deepfake videos of real people, mostly women, without their consent and distribute them for extortion purposes. Impersonate people in business settings. Like, someone creates a deepfake video call of a CEO and uses it to authorize fraudulent wire transfers. The company sends millions of dollars to the wrong place because they thought they were talking to the actual CEO. And here's the thing that's making lawyers lose their minds. None of these fit neatly into existing crime categories. Is it fraud? Well, kind of. But fraud usually requires you to make a false statement. Here, it's a false video. Different thing legally. Is it defamation? Maybe. But defamation is usually about making false statements about someone. This is deeper than that. It's creating a false version of someone. Is it identity theft? It could be argued that way, but identity theft usually involves stealing someone's personal information. This is creating false information that looks like it came from them. Is it harassment? Could be, but the legal definition of harassment varies wildly by jurisdiction, and most places didn't have deepfakes in mind when they wrote those laws. So you have this situation where something is clearly wrong, everybody agrees it's wrong, and yet the law is sitting there like a confused parent at a technology convention. Why this matters beyond just celebrities? You might think, okay, so some celebrities are having deepfake videos made of them. That's bad, but it doesn't affect me. Wrong. Dead wrong. Because once the precedent is set, once the law figures out how to handle this, it's going to affect how your identity works legally. It's going to affect what counts as evidence. It's going to affect what it means to authenticate who you are online. Think about video calls. Right now, you can fairly safely assume that if you're on a video call with someone, you're actually talking to that person. But deepfakes are getting good enough that you can't assume that anymore. There are deepfake detection tools. Sure, but they're not foolproof. And they're not universally available. So what happens to contracts that are signed over video call? What happens to legal depositions conducted via video? What happens to testimony in court if video evidence can no longer be trusted? The legal system is built on the assumption that certain things are reliable. Video used to be one of those things. Video evidence used to mean something. But if deepfakes become indistinguishable from real videos, then video evidence becomes useless, and the entire legal system has to figure out a new way to authenticate things. The laws that are actually being written right now. Some places are actually trying to get ahead of this. Not many, but some. California passed a law in 2022 that makes it illegal to distribute deepfake pornography of real people without consent. That's good. That's a start. But it's also limited. It's specifically about pornography. What about other types of deepfakes? What about deepfake videos used for political purposes? The UK is considering laws that would make creating deepfakes of people without consent illegal in general, not just pornographic ones. But they're struggling with where to draw the line, because technically, any video edit is a deepfake in some sense. Is it illegal to put someone's face on another person's body in a comedy video? What about a political satire? The EU is pushing for regulations around synthetic media generally, trying to require disclosure when something is AI generated or manipulated. But again, enforcement is a nightmare. Who checks? Who verifies? What happens if someone forgets to label their deepfake? And the US federal government is still kind of flailing around, trying to figure out if this should be handled at the federal level or the state level, and whether it should be a criminal matter or civil matter, and whether you should be able to sue the person who made the deepfake or the platform that hosted it or both. The problem with making laws about this. Here's where it gets really complicated, and why lawyers are actually tearing their hair out. If you make deepfakes illegal, what exactly are you making illegal? The creation, the distribution, the intent to harm? Because those are three different things legally, and they have different penalties. If you make creation illegal, you're criminalizing technology, which means you're criminalizing people who are just experimenting with AI. You're criminalizing special effects artists. You're criminalizing video editors. You're potentially criminalizing a lot of innocent activity. If you make distribution illegal, you have the problem of defining what distribution means. Does posting it on your private account count? Does sharing it in a private group chat count? How much distribution triggers the law? If you make it illegal based on intent to harm, you have the problem of proving intent. Someone creates a deepfake. Are they trying to harm someone? Are they just being stupid? Are they making a joke? The intent is hard to prove, and intent-based laws are notoriously difficult to enforce. And then there's the freedom of speech problem. In the United States, there's constitutional protection for free speech. A deepfake of a politician might be false, but is it protected political speech? There's legitimate debate about that. European countries have different standards around freedom of speech, so European laws might be stricter. But even there, you have to draw a line somewhere between what's illegal and what's protected. And what about parody? What about satire? If someone creates a deepfake video of a politician doing something absurd for satirical purposes, is that illegal? Most people would say no, that should be protected speech. But then how do you write a law that makes malicious deepfakes illegal without also making satirical ones illegal? The authentication problem, nobody's talking about enough. Here's the thing that's going to hit the legal system hardest, and it's something most people aren't thinking about yet. If deepfakes become good enough that they're indistinguishable from real videos, then video stops being a reliable form of proof. In law, certain types of evidence are considered more reliable than others. A signed contract is considered reliable proof of an agreement. A video recording has always been considered pretty reliable proof of what happened. But if anyone can make a convincing deepfake of anything, then video evidence becomes as reliable as hearsay. It becomes useless in court. And the legal system doesn't know how to handle that yet. Imagine a criminal trial where the prosecution's main evidence is a video, but the defense says, "That's a deepfake. My client wasn't actually there." And now nobody can definitively prove that it's not a deepfake. What happens? The case falls apart. Some places are starting to think about requiring video evidence to come with some kind of chain of custody verification. Like, we need to be able to prove that the video hasn't been tampered with. We need cryptographic signatures. We need blockchain verification possibly. We need something, but most places aren't there yet. Most places are still operating under the assumption that video is self-evidently truthful, which is becoming less true every single day. The business and banking implications. This is where it gets really scary. There have already been cases where deepfake videos were used to commit fraud. A criminal creates a deepfake video of a CEO authorizing a wire transfer. The video looks perfect. It sounds perfect. The person receiving the instructions has no reason to doubt it, because they're literally watching their CEO on video telling them to do it. And millions of dollars get transferred to the wrong place. When the fraud is discovered, the company tries to press charges. But what crime was actually committed? Was it wire fraud, impersonation, identity theft? The law isn't clear, and it varies by jurisdiction. And here's the scary part. If you can use a deepfake to commit fraud once, you can use it to commit fraud 1,000 times. You can create one deepfake video and use it against hundreds of different companies. You can scale the crime. Banks are starting to wake up to this. Some are implementing additional verification procedures for large transfers. Some are using voice recognition technology that's designed to detect deepfakes. But it's an arms race. As detection technology gets better, deepfake creation technology gets better too. We're always one step behind. And the law has no idea how to handle this. Should banks be liable if they transfer money based on a deepfake video? Should the platform that hosts the deepfake be liable? Should the person who created it be liable? All of the above. Right now, it depends on where you are and how the court interprets existing law. That's not a stable situation. That's a ticking time bomb. The free speech nightmare. This is the part where people get really upset because it touches on fundamental questions about what should and shouldn't be legal. If you make deepfakes illegal, you're potentially restricting speech. Even if that speech is false, even if that speech is harmful, restricting it is a serious thing legally. In the United States, the standard is pretty protective of free speech. You can say false things about people, and it's protected, unless it meets the definition of defamation, false statements that cause real harm to reputation. But deepfakes aren't quite the same as statements. They're visual fabrications. They might have different legal standing. In Europe, the standard is different. There's more emphasis on protecting people's dignity and privacy, and less absolute protection for all speech. So European laws around deepfakes might be stricter. But that also means there's a risk of governments using those laws to suppress legitimate speech. And here's where it gets really complicated. What if someone uses a deepfake to make a powerful political statement? Like, imagine someone creates a deepfake video showing a politician committing a crime as a form of political protest or satire. Is that illegal? Should it be? Most people would say it shouldn't be illegal if it's clearly satire. But how do you write a law that allows satire but disallows malicious? Deepfakes? The answer is, you can't really. Laws have to be specific and clear. They can't be like, it's illegal to make deepfakes unless you have a good reason. So you end up in this position where you either allow all deepfakes, which includes the harmful ones, or you restrict some speech to prevent the harmful ones. And neither option is great. The elephant in the room, who gets punished? Here's something that's going to get uglier as this develops, the question of liability. If someone creates a deepfake, that person is clearly responsible for creating it. But what about the platform that hosts it? What about the person who shares it? What about the AI company whose software was used to create it? Right now, platforms have something called Section 230 protection in the US, which basically says platforms aren't liable for what users post on them. But that protection is under attack from all sides. Some people want to restrict it because they think platforms should be more responsible for illegal content. Other people want to expand it because they think platforms need protection. If Section 230 protection gets restricted, then platforms become liable for deepfakes posted on them, which means platforms become very aggressive about taking down anything that might be a deepfake, which means legitimate video content gets taken down by mistake. And what about AI companies? If someone uses your AI software to create a deepfake, are you liable? Should you be? If you are, then AI companies have a massive incentive to not release powerful tools to the public, which might be good for security, but it's bad for innovation and competition. The law hasn't figured this out yet, and it's going to take a while. What actually needs to happen? Okay, so clearly something needs to be done. We can't just live in a world where deepfakes are completely unregulated and anyone can create fake videos of anyone else for any purpose. But the solution is complicated. First, we need laws that specifically address deepfakes in the context of fraud, extortion, and harassment. These are clear harms. We know how to write laws against these things. It's fraud if you use a deepfake to trick someone into sending you money. It's harassment if you use a deepfake to threaten someone. It's defamation if you use a deepfake to falsely damage someone's reputation. Start there. Make those things explicitly illegal. Second, we need authentication technology that becomes standard. Videos should come with metadata that proves when they were created, where they were created, and whether they've been tampered with. This should be built into cameras and phones and video equipment at the hardware level. That way, if a video was created with deepfake technology, there's a digital fingerprint. Third, we need platforms to be required to label synthetic media. If something is AI generated or significantly edited, it should be labeled as such, not hidden, not buried, clearly labeled so people know what they're looking at. Fourth, we need AI companies to build detection technology and make it available. If you're building the tools that create deepfakes, you should also be building the tools that detect them. That's basic responsibility. And fifth, we need the legal system to figure out its own house. The law needs to be clear about what's illegal and what isn't. The burden of proof needs to be defined. The standards for different types of deepfake crimes need to be established. The uncomfortable truth. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Even if all of that happens, it's still not going to be enough. Because technology always outpaces law. Always. The law is reactive. It comes after the problem. So by the time we have good laws about deepfakes, the technology is going to have evolved. We're going to be dealing with new problems that we haven't even thought of yet. And there's a deeper issue. Deepfakes are fundamentally about trust. They work because they exploit the fact that you trust what you see. You watch a video and you assume it's real. That's a basic assumption that's hard to shake. Even if we solve the technical problem of detecting deepfakes, we haven't solved the social problem of people not believing real videos because they assume everything is fake. That's actually happening already. There are real videos of things that happened, and people dismiss them as deepfakes because they don't want to believe them. So we're going to end up in this weird world where nobody can trust video evidence, where everything could be fake, and the legal system is going to have to figure out how to function in a world like that. Where we are right now. Right now, in this moment, the law is completely inadequate to handle deepfakes. Cases are being prosecuted under existing laws that were never designed for this technology. People are walking away from crimes with minimal punishment because the law doesn't have good tools to prosecute them. But that's changing, slowly. States and countries are writing new laws. Courts are starting to establish precedents. The legal system is waking up. And here's the thing, the way these early cases are prosecuted, the way these early laws are written, those are going to set the tone for everything that comes after. If we get it wrong now, we're stuck with a bad system for years. If we get it right, we might actually have something that works. The problem is that we don't really know what right looks like yet. Nobody's done this before. This is new territory. The broader implication. But here's what I want you to really understand about this whole situation. It's not just about deepfakes. It's about the fact that technology is advancing faster than society can handle it. Deepfakes are just the current example. In a few years, it might be something else. It might be AI-generated text that's indistinguishable from real text. It might be synthetic data that's indistinguishable from real data. It might be some technology we haven't even invented yet. And the legal system is always going to be behind. Always. That's just how the system works. Legislation is slow. Courts move slowly. It takes years for something to become established law. So we're always going to be in this position where technology exists that we don't have laws for, where people are committing crimes that technically aren't crimes yet, where the harm is happening faster than the law can respond. That's not necessarily a reason to panic. The legal system has handled technological change before, but it's a reason to be aware. It's a reason to think about these issues now, before they become massive problems.